Why? $500 month is the real wealth accelerator, not $5,000. You know what's funny about wealthy people? They never talk about needing $5,000 a month to build wealth. They talk about $500. But here's what financial gurus don't want you to know. They're actually right. And it's not because $500 is some magical number. It's because most people have completely missed what actually matters when it comes to building real wealth. Most financial advice will tell you that you need to earn six figures, save aggressively, or have money to invest. But there's something those gurus are missing. Something that completely changes how fast you can build wealth. And it has nothing to do with how much money you make. My name is your name. And I've spent the last 5 years studying people who actually built wealth versus people who stayed stuck. And the difference isn't what you think. If you're someone who wants to understand the real mechanics of wealth building instead of just hoping things magically improve, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it ends up changing how you think about your money. Now, before we dive into why $500 a month is where the real acceleration happens, let me ask you something. What's stopping you from building wealth right now? Most people will tell you it's because they don't make enough money. They say, once I make six figures, I'll start investing. Or, when I get that promotion, then I'll get serious about saving. But here's the uncomfortable truth. That's not why they're not building wealth. That's just what they tell themselves. Because if you can't save and invest $500 a month on whatever income you have right now, you wouldn't be able to do it on double the income either. Let me explain why. There's something that happens in the human brain when you have access to money. Psychologists call it lifestyle expansion. Every single time your income goes up, your expenses magically go up with it. You make an extra $1,000 a month, and somehow you find $1,000 worth of reasons to spend it. A nicer apartment, better restaurants, upgraded phone, the streaming services you forgot you subscribed to. It's not that you're being irresponsible. It's that your brain is literally wired to spend what you have. So the person making 40 grand a year with $2,000 in savings is in the exact same psychological situation as the person making 200 grand a year with 50,000 in the bank. They're both spending everything they make. The only difference is the number on their paycheck. Now, here's where this gets really interesting. The person who can discipline themselves to save $500 a month on their current income has actually solved the hardest problem. They've hacked their own psychology. They've rewired their brain to prefer delayed gratification over immediate consumption. And that ability doesn't change when they get a raise. In fact, it multiplies. When they do make more money, they don't blow it all. They save it, and their wealth accelerates exponentially. But the person who can't save $500 a month, even if they make triple the income tomorrow, they still won't be able to save, because nothing has changed inside their head. This is why $500 a month is the real watershed moment. It's not about the amount. It's about what it means. It means you've finally taken control. You've decided that your future matters more than your impulses. You've become the type of person who can say no to things they want so they can have something they need. And that identity shift is everything. Okay? So let's talk about the math, because this is where things get absolutely crazy. Let's say you're consistent with $500 a month. You invest it in a basic index fund, earning an average of 8% annually, which is actually conservative. The S&P 500 has averaged close to 10% over the past 50 years. But let's be conservative and say 8%. Ready for this? In 20 years, you've contributed $120,000 of your own money. But your account balance isn't $120,000. It's $1,239,000. You didn't make that extra million in income. Your money made it for you. That's compound interest doing the heavy lifting. Think about that for a second. You could literally be broke every month after you invest that $500, and 20 years later, you're a millionaire. Most people have no idea this is even possible. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Your first $120,000 took you the entire 20 years to save and contribute. But your second $120,000, the money that your investments earned for you, that happened almost automatically in just the last 5 years of that timeline. And your third $120,000, that happened in less than 3 years. By year 18, your money is making more than you are. By year 19 and 20, your investment returns alone are generating more wealth than your $500 monthly contribution ever could. This is what separates people who build real wealth from people who stay stuck. Most people look at $500 a month and think, that's not enough. It'll take forever. So they don't do anything. They're waiting for the day when they can save $5,000 a month. But that day never comes. Because they're too busy spending money on things that don't matter. Meanwhile, the person who started with $500 a month is already at $300,000 by year 15. And they're about to cross into that magical zone where their money is doing most of the work. Here's what most people don't realize. This isn't just theoretical. This is what's actually happening in the real world right now. Some person making $35,000 a year is building more wealth than someone making $150,000 a year. The difference isn't income, it's discipline. It's that $500 decision made over and over and over again. Now you might be thinking this is impossible. You might be thinking, I can barely survive on what I make right now. How am I supposed to save $500? And I hear you. But here's the thing. You're probably not as broke as you think you are. Let me show you what I mean. The average American spends about $80 a month on subscriptions. $80. Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Spotify, the gym membership you don't use, the app you forgot about. That's almost 20% of your $500 right there. The average person also spends about $200 a month eating out and getting coffee. $200 a month for convenience instead of cooking at home. And then there's the other stuff, the impulse purchases, the things you bought that you forgot about, the clothes you never wear, the gadgets that are now sitting in your closet. If you actually tracked your spending for 30 days, you'd probably find $200 to $300 of spending that you don't even remember. So suddenly, $500 a month doesn't seem impossible anymore. It seems obvious. You're not trying to find new money. You're trying to stop throwing it away. This is the shift that changes everything. And it's not about deprivation. It's not about eating ramen and never enjoying your life. It's about being intentional. It's about understanding that every dollar you don't invest today is a dollar you're literally stealing from your future self. That coffee you bought for $5 today, in 20 years, with 8% returns, that would have been worth about $23 in your investment account. You didn't just spend $5, you destroyed $23 of future wealth. and you do this probably 3 times a day without thinking about it. But here's where this gets really interesting. Something magical happens when you actually start consistently investing $500 a month. Your brain changes. It sounds crazy, but I'm serious. Your entire relationship with money transforms. At first, it feels like a sacrifice. You're making cuts. You're saying no to things. But after a few months, something flips. You stop seeing your money as something to spend. You start seeing it as a tool that works for you. And suddenly, all those impulses to buy random things feel different. You're not just thinking, can I afford this? You're thinking, what is this costing me in terms of my future? That $5 coffee doesn't seem worth it anymore because you can visualize what it becomes. That new outfit doesn't seem worth it because you're thinking about what that money could do working for you. This isn't some mystical transformation. It's just your brain finally understanding cause and effect, action and consequence. And it's incredibly powerful because once you see your money this way, you start making different decisions in every area of your life. You start negotiating your salary differently because you're not desperate. You start your side hustle because you want to accelerate the process. You start learning about investments because you actually care about where your money goes. You become the kind of person who builds wealth. And here's the crazy part. Once you become that person, it's almost impossible not to accelerate. You're not trying to build wealth through willpower anymore. You're building it because it's who you are. Now, I have to tell you about the trap that most people fall into. Because 90% of people who start saving $500 a month eventually mess it up. And they mess it up in a very specific way. They save for a year. They see their account growing. They have maybe $6,000 sitting there. And then something happens. Maybe they get a bonus. Maybe they decide they finally deserve a reward for being disciplined. Maybe they see something they want really bad. And they pull the money out. They convince themselves it's just temporary. They'll put it back. But they don't. And suddenly they're back to zero. And all of that momentum they built is gone. Here's the harsh truth. That $6,000 you pulled out, in 20 years, it would have been worth about $25,000. You didn't just take $6,000. You destroyed $19,000 of future wealth because you couldn't wait, because you thought you deserved a break. This is why $500 a month only works if you treat it like a bill, not like savings, not like money you might use someday. It's not your money. It belongs to future you. Present you already tried to mess things up. Present you wanted to spend it. But you made a decision. You said no. You committed to the process. And now you have to follow through. This is the difference between people who talk about building wealth and people who actually do it. It's not the amount. It's the commitment. It's the willingness to say no to today so you can have something incredible tomorrow. Here's something else that happens when you're consistently investing $500 a month. You start seeing opportunities that other people completely miss. When you're broke, opportunities don't exist. Your friend mentions they're starting a business and looking for initial investors. You say that sounds cool and move on. But when you have $500 flowing into investments every month and you're in control of your money, you start asking questions. Is this legitimate? Could I make money on this? How much would I need to invest? Suddenly, opportunities that were always there are now accessible to you. Maybe you could throw $1,000 at your friend's business. Maybe you could buy a rental property with a partner. Maybe you could take that course that costs $500 that actually teaches you a real skill. These opportunities exist for everyone, but you can't take advantage of them when you're living paycheck to paycheck. You can only take advantage of them when you've already decided that your future matters, when you've already proven to yourself that you can be disciplined with money. This is what wealthy people mean when they say money goes to money. It's not some cosmic conspiracy. It's that having money, even if it's just $500 a month, gives you options. And options create more opportunities. And opportunities create more money. It's a cycle. And the person who starts the cycle first wins. Here's the bottom line. You don't need to make $100,000 a year to build wealth. You don't need some secret investment that only rich people know about. You don't need to be lucky, or connected, or born into money. You just need to save $500 a month. That's it. $500 a month is the difference between spending your entire life stressed about money and eventually reaching a point where money doesn't stress you anymore. It's the difference between working until you're 70 and having options in your 40s. It's the difference between living paycheck to paycheck and quietly building generational wealth while everyone else is still figuring out where their money went. And the best part? You can start today, right now. You don't need permission. You don't need to wait for the perfect time. The perfect time is today. Open an investment account. Set up automatic transfers for $500 on the day you get paid, and then forget about it. Stop checking it every day. Stop worrying about what the market is doing. Just let it sit there and do its work. Because in 20 years, you're going to be incredibly grateful that you made this decision today. Your future self is already depending on it. Now the question is, are you actually going to do this? Or are you going to watch this video and then go back to spending money on things that don't matter? Because knowing and doing are two completely different things. The people who build wealth are the ones who do. They're the ones who see something that makes sense and they take action immediately. They don't wait. They don't make excuses. They just do it. So here's what I want you to do right now. First, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Second, leave a comment down below telling me what your biggest obstacle is to saving $500 a month. Because I want to know what's actually stopping you. And who knows, maybe I'll make a video addressing your specific situation. And third, share this video with someone you know who needs to hear this message. Because the person who's going to change your life might be the person who watches this with you. So hit subscribe, drop a comment, share this video, and I'll see you in the next one.